So when we got to know that you were coming, there were a lot of questions from all our students. So we have kind of shortlisted 15 of them, and I was ordered to make this interesting. So you have a challenge. The challenge is that you have to answer each question in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll try. I think it's tougher than Google interview, I guess.
Yeah.
So to answer everything under 3 minutes, I'll try.
Okay. So the first question is, how did you know UX was the thing for you and not just another design path like graphic or product design?
So when I started my career, there wasn't UI UX. So back in 2008, um, I just graduated and there were few areas which I was liking. For example, 3D was something that I used to like. And just like he was saying that traditional cell animation method and all of that, even I'm coming down from that path. But after after getting into the first company, it was a travel and tour operating company in Kochi. But the main domain at that time was web designer. So graphic designer, web designer, all were coming under one umbrella. And at times you also need to code as well. So I was not at all good at coding. I never learned it. I also don't want to learn it because it's brain rot. Um, so from there, I slowly started becoming from graphic designer to visual designer, and from there to UI, UX. So that has been my journey so far.
Okay. So next question is something we all have heard and pretty much infamous. Clients are very infamous for this. How do you approach a project when the client has no clarity and keeps changing requirements?
So this happens when you actually start your career early when you are not able to understand how do you approach a client, how do you understand or define a problem statement. So the more I grew in my career, the easier I understood how to tackle it. So the first thing that I would do is bring clarity to the problem. Understand, don't even go and touch the design or the solution. Don't think about the solution first. Instead, understand what their requirement is. So once you bring that clarity, even if you take 1 day, 2 day, it doesn't matter. So keep on asking relevant questions. As long as you are able to get the clarity out of it, then you approach the solution phase. Don't think about solution at all. Maybe it doesn't require what they are asking for. Maybe, so first thing that I would do is try to understand the problem. If I don't have clarity, I'm not designing it. So first bring clarity and then design on top of it.
That makes sense. So, in your opinion, what separates an average UX portfolio from the one that makes you instantly shortlist somebody?
So I see portfolio to be like, like movies. So everyone has seen different movies, right? For example, um, y- in the recent time, there are a lot of movies that are coming. So there are but every movies are different. So I would like to see portfolios in that direction. Now, if you look at every single role that opens in Google gets at least 50 to 60 thousands of applications. Now, within that application, if you have to be that one single person, how do you think that you need to justify your portfolio? Definitely, you need to stand out from the crowd. And if you have to stand out from the crowd, you need to make sure what are the different methods that you could approach in your storytelling. You need to make sure how you are able to, so everyone will be following the same design thinking methodologies. How to break it, how to put it out in a better way, so that you are different from others. So that's what I've been trying to do myself. Not that I'm saying that I've cracked it, but I've been able to understand first understand the process, then break it. That's something that I've been trying to do.
So earlier you talked about how important clarity is for you while taking on a project. So how do you decide whether a problem needs research, redesign, or just better communication?
Can you repeat that question? It's
How do you decide whether a problem needs research, redesign, or just better communication?
the moment you start understanding the problem, so research is again a phase in identifying the problem itself, right? Like, to deeply understand how, what is it for the business? I mean, if I solve it, what gains business do have? What is it for the users? How does it benefit the user? So if I am able to understand both the angles, then I am able to come up with the solution. So can you repeat that question again? I'm sorry, I'm slightly lost with the question.
That's okay. How do you decide, like you have a problem with regards to a project, so how do you decide if it needs research,
Oh, okay.
redesign, or just maybe better communication with the client?
It always start with research. A research, as in a research, can be like a 1 hour research. It can be a, like, month-long research. It depends on the scale of the problem. So as long as I build clarity, it start with research. There is no shortcut to it. So I think research as a terminology might be confused. So research, there are UX researchers at Google itself. I don't have to do that job now. But before, when I used to work in startups and stuff, there I might have to play the role of a researcher as well. And I might be asking all the questions that I need in order to define the solution. So um, all this and redesign, if it is redesign or whatever that is. So on the research itself, you'll get clarity on what needs to be done, what should be the next step. So based on that, I'll recommend. So I'll give you one example. When Bangalore Airport application came to ThoughtWorks, their intent was to build a web solution, website redesign. So I I was the lead designer for that project. So when I got in, I had a chat with the sales team. So sales team got us this project, right? They are the one who is actually facing on the customer side. So when they gave us the you know the requirement, I was able to understand why do they even need a website in the first place? If their intent is to reach more customers on understanding what Bangalore Airport can do, I believe a mobile application would be a better idea. And maybe a responsive mobile, if they don't have the budget to do it, maybe a responsive mobile. But then again, we need GPS, and we will be able to use a lot of things for indoor navigation and tracking because Bangalore Airport is huge. So we kind of, I'm not getting a lot into the details, but we were able to pitch to them saying that even though you came for a website, it's not that, that's not what you need. From initial research and understanding, I'm able to gather, even if you rebuild this website to its max potential, I don't think people are still going to find it useful. Only a very less marginal number of audience are going to use it. So my recommendation was to build an application, and that's how they started building an application. So yeah, so these phases, this research phase, irrespective of how large or small it is, you have to do it. I mean, you will do it. Without doing that, I don't think you will be designing for someone.
Okay. So, how do you avoid designing based on assumptions when the timelines are tight?
So timelines are tight. Let's keep aside. Designing based on assumptions you asked, right? Um, so m- in a regular day, in a regular project, I don't think we will be taking a lot of decision based on the hypothesis. So mostly what we do is everything that we do, we'll try to back up with a research or some logical data behind why we did what we did. So uh, that's that's mostly the phase that I always go through. So there is no shortcut to see. The more you do the hypothesis, the more problematic it becomes when you are trying to sell the design. And to be a better designer, you need to be the user's advocate, and you need to be fighting for your user. And if you have to fight for your user, when tough questions are being asked from the stakeholder friend, you need to have better explanation of why you did what you did, why this color, why this line, why this font, and why the button has to be this big, or even when so mostly visually they will be judging, and also there comes the interaction pattern as well. Like, you're starting one journey from one to the other. How did you arrive at that's the solution? So everything that you do will have a logical explanation behind what you did. So that's what research enables you. So research is not just about asking around people, it's also looking at patterns, data, what worked in the past as well. Like, there are a lot of design terminologies that we all are learning in colleges as well as outside in industry. So make use of all of that, and then that's how I actually do it.
Okay. So, with the surge of AI, especially in the communication design sphere, we see international brands like Coca-Cola and Olympics making ads completely using AI. So, as a designer, what are your thoughts on it? And like, do you think is it just going to be a very short trend, and will we designers get a hang of it eventually, or like, just like how internet was 20 years ago, it was a shocker to all of us, and eventually we all got the hang of it. We were fine with it. So, do you think it will be a short trend or like something else?
I think it's again, this is about, I think it's an opinion. So I can't predict the future. If I know how to predict the future, I would be actually investing in better stocks. My portfolio is bad. But if I have to think, all that I can think of is, yes, some of it will stay. Uh, there are a lot of things I don't think. So AI is it in its preliminary stages, I would say. Like some of the previous panelists were saying that how it evolves over time, and it will reach its own maturity at that time. I think it will be in a very sophisticated phase where AI is actually predominant in certain areas where humans are slow, humans cannot do. I think those are the areas where AI will take over, and humans will still be relevant at that point where AI is not able to do it. And I think humans, the natural tendency of humans are we keep evolving ourselves based on what's around us, and that will also happen. We don't have to force it. It will find its natural phase, natural way. It will happen. So I think right now, it's in a very preliminary stages. I would say it's not even mature to the extent where I think it should be. It will reach there, but then it will find its own mature path where only in certain areas it will actually be good. In certain areas, I don't think. Again, AI at this point, if I have to say, it doesn't understand the intent. So intention becomes more and more relevant in coming years, coming era. So that's what I think.
That's certainly an interesting take. So I'm sure we do have a lot of students who are aiming to work at Google. So, can you tell us what differentiates a good portfolio from one that truly stands out in hiring panels? And like, especially in interviews, they really look for people with an edge. So, if you could answer this with your own interview and like how you got into Google.
So I answered a little bit of it in the previous question as well. So like I said, Google receives around 50 to 60,000 plus resumes per one open position. So there is a large problem of supply and demand. The second problem that I see is yeah, recruiters don't get to watch or see all the resumes that you apply. So at the initial stage itself, the automatic tracking system, the ATS, ATS would actually do the job of eliminating a lot of people based on how much minimum and um, uh, so there are for all the open positions at Google has two categorization. One is minimum requirement and preferred qualification. So each both has to be met at minimum level. So there are a lot of people who actually apply even without that minimum requirement not being met, and then gets to the point where you have to have a solid portfolio, solid resume, and even with that, like I said, what there is a should I say it or should I do? I think for the interest of time, I will keep it very short. So when I started posting stuff online, especially in channels like LinkedIn and Instagram, there weren't enough people who actually notices what I was doing. So, but there was still enough crowd that I have built over time who are actually working in bigger companies. They might not be working in a bigger company at the moment. Now maybe they at that time they were working in some other small companies. It doesn't matter. But if let's say, what's your name?
Sujaya.
Sucha.
Sujaya.
Sujaya. So let's say Sujaya, I know Sujaya is posting stuff, and let's say I'm working for ABC company, and you started doing stuff, and I notice the stuff that you are doing. Then I realize, oh, Sujaya has some peculiarity in terms of how she communicates her design, how she narrates the story behind it. Now, whenever I see a post, even without looking at the name or profile picture, I understand it's from Sujaya. So you yourself create a brand like somebody else was saying the same, that you figure out your niche and you start creating it, and that's something that I started doing it, or I've been doing it for a really long time, and people noticed me. So one of the hiring manager from Google has already seen my profile, and he already knows what I do. So it was very easy for me to get shortlisted at the first place. So he already knew the work that I do. Even though I didn't deliberately connect with him, I didn't even seen his name so far. I haven't noticed him, but he was there in my list and he was noticing me. So he knew what I was doing. So half of the selling part was done. Then the second was to clear the interview. Clear the interview was again a lot of articles are there online on what are the different phases of interview and what they will be judging you based on. All that you need to do is how to perform for it, and it's very binary. It's not rocket science. Once you are able to get to that level, I think it's easy for you to crack the next rounds of interview. All that you need to have is some self-belief and some readiness in how you want to crack those interview call.
Do you think Indian digital products are solving uniquely Indian behavioral problems really well, or do you think that we are still borrowing too much from Western UX patterns?
I mean, some of it, and it's for good. Why do you want to reinvent a wheel that's already been invented? So, yes, we need to adapt, and definitely we are actually making, I don't think we are completely borrowing it, we are adapting to it. So, if I have to observe a lot of applications, I don't think none of these applications would even work in economically in Western countries. For example, Blinkit. Um, who delivers things in 10 minutes? I mean, in Bangalore, I get stuff in 4 or 5 minutes. So it's that fast. I mean, even if I decide I want something, it's already there at your doorstep. That's how fast it is. I'm not glorifying it, but it is also the condition of India that the lack of opportunity, and a lot of people are actually looking out for opportunities, and that cheap labor or the access to labor, all that is in the mix. But we are actually providing solutions and trying to bring a market for them as well. Like for them it's livelihood. for them, they might not be able to find another job if this was in there. So there is that opportunity is also being created. So yes, we are borrowing a lot of things. When I say that we are not borrowing, maybe the ideas, maybe the fundamentals. For example, there are a lot of laws and values that people have generated, defined as the foundation of design. Maybe we are actually, borrowing all of that. But fundamentally, I think mm, we are adapting, we are changing things and having our own rich flavor. For example, black as a color may be considered as evil in India, but in foreign or Western countries, it might be a representation of luxury, right? So I am maybe when in the Indian context we might change it. We know that the Indian audience won't be actually taking it. So yeah.
When multiple stakeholders disagree on a UX direction, how do you defend a design decision without letting ego interfere, especially in a company that has the scale like, of Google scale?
At Google, I don't think a lot of such kind of fight happens. It's mostly very healthy conversations that we have. If I have to talk in general and not in the context of Google, maybe what I can say is research-backed decisions. Again, I think this is the fifth or sixth answer that I've been putting a lot of research in the front. It's important because that's actually help you sell your design. So I consider every designer to be an user's advocate. And if you are not a really good advocate, your clients are going to fail, which means vadi pradyav. Right. So if you are not a good defendant, if you are not able to fight for your user, it's the business who is going to, take a toll. At the same time, you are not educating, like you should be. You are not advocating for the user. Then, eventually, the business will also fail, and users will not be able to get what they want. So, um, if I have to say, ego doesn't come into picture as long as you are pure with your intent. You know that certain fights you might have to lose. Certain fight, I don't think. You should have to win. So you need to pick your battles very carefully. You need to see what are the things that are negotiable to build a good rapport with who are the stakeholders. So some stakeholders they are saying, hey, you know what, my daughter likes green, or I showed this design to someone and they like violet. I mean, we are not designing for them. That's not my user base. So whom am I designing it for? So it's your, as a designer, you have a bigger responsibility to tell or educate them that, hey, but user group is different and not hurting their ego as well, right? Like, they are the one who is actually acting as the stakeholders. At that point, how do you actually convince them in a better way that it is for their own product? If you put out this in the market, our market research says that majority of our users are going to like violet. And if you don't use violet, then that's going to be or taking a hit on the product. So you thread what you need very carefully, pick your battles very carefully, and not to. So there are certain things which are negotiable. You need to first think what is negotiable and what is not negotiable. So um, in the judgment day, you need to put everything in the front saying that. And there are things which I have compromised, and there are things which I was able to influence them, convince them. So as a good designer, you with experience, you will know how to convince someone.
So in design school, students are taught structured processes like design thinking frameworks. So at Google, how often does the real workflow actually follow that structure, and when does intuition take over?
Um, so Recently, this especially at the start of AI, like when AI came into picture, we started rapidly prototyping on things, like to understand the product market fit, even without doing a lot of following the regular streamlined process of a double diamond approach, or like a design thinking approach, where you lay out the problem, lay out the landscape, lay out the research plan, and then figure out basically discover, develop, define, and deliver. So we started looking at how to actually streamline this process in such a way that it is very faster, because world is moving faster. If the more slower you are not getting the product out there, and you are not able to understand the product market fit, and maybe the competitor will be taking advantage of that. So hence a lot of things started taking intuition, or you need to work on your hypothesis in order to build certain things, and that's when the experience matters the most. So I've been doing design for the past 16 years, and some of the patterns, I know that it might work. I don't have to go and do the research maybe. So those are the areas where I take the intuition very thoughtfully, and at the same time, sometimes there will be a fight around it as well. Like if I'm taking intuitions, and maybe the PM is not agreeing to it, that's when we get into a logical agreement on why do I think my hypothesis will work? Why does he think that this hypothesis won't work? So then we come into an agreement mid-level where, if I'm not very clear on my hypothesis, if I think that, hey, my gut instinct says that it would work, but then there are very odd chances it might not. So I never um, take ego into those discussions, all with the intent that I wanted to build good product that would actually benefit my users. All that care at the end of the day is that. I don't care if it is my design that is being shipped. If there is another designer who is actually providing a better solution, I'll be happy for that person. So that's the mode that I always keep. I don't think I never had the ego in me. Was that the question? Sorry, I lost track of.
It was also about like how much do you follow the structured workflow
No, we
patterns?
so this recently we started breaking that, all with the intent to fail fast. So fail fast is a concept where you need to understand whether this product will be having a good market fit or not. If not, fail and then move on. So that's the method that currently with AI we are trying to do. So every product that you are using from Google will have one of the AI powerful feature that's going to be there. So eventually, some will stay, some will not. So that's what we are trying to do.
Okay. When you evaluate a beginner's UI UX design, what are some of the commonly found mistakes or patterns in them?
So, like I said, everyone more or less follow the same structure of boring way of telling the story, telling the portfolio. If I have to take all the people, all the students here, and if they have, everyone showing me their portfolio, I think more or less everyone will be having a structure that they are following. And that to me is one of the common mistake or common thing that they could avoid by be creative. You are creative. So just all that you need to ask is, hey, if I have to tell this in a different format, how would I do it? So every creative thought process could be explained in a slightly better way. So how do you do it? And if you want to use the format of video, do that. If you want to, make it a clickable prototype that, takes you to some place and make it in the form of a game, some gamification in how you explain this problem statement, yeah, do that. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. You can, especially with AI, there are a lot of things that you are able to do at this point. What I believe is that's how you should also look at. That's how everyone should draft their portfolio in such a way that um, everyone is unique, and you need to find your unique balance, and that's how you will be able to stand out in the market.
So on a slightly lighter side, if you had to restart your career in design, what would you have done differently?
Uh, I think I might have given a little bit more importance to communication. Uh, because earlier in my career, I thought that I would be able to live without having a good communication skill. So when I say communication, it's not about the fluency in any language. It's not the fluency in English or Hindi or whatever that is. I believe it's more to do with how you compose yourself when you are trying to talk something, when you are trying to sell something. How do you compose yourself? So that's something that I feel I would have focused a little bit more. While I believe I had good visual sense. Uh, I think I might have lost a lot of opportunities because I wasn't at the forefront trying to sell the design. So maybe I would have focused a lot more on communication. When I say communication, it's not, like I said, I'm rephrasing again, it's not the command over a language. As long as you are able to communicate something to someone, you should do that, and you should do that with confidence. So that's something that I would do at very early stages.
So, what question do you wish students asked you more often when you're giving talks or like having a conversation?
I think all these questions are really good. It's not like I. I think I might have given a session in multiple places, but all these questions are very meaningful. I think the quality of questions are really great. Um, Certain things that I felt in many places is for everything that you need to have an answer on. Like let's say there is a question. I think one or the other person might have answered it already in internet. Okay, take any questions you have. If you ask, let's say, Google, and it will already be addressed by someone. Now it's the matter of perspectives, right? Like, my perspective will be different from somebody else's perspective. So I think what I wish in other places and in general, people who are actually graduating is f- very contextual to this particular person. What do you think they might have done differently? So those are the kind of questions that I wish people ask more, where they are able to they're able to put you in the context and then ask around it, not like very generic. Hey, by the way, fun fact is, ever since my Instagram became slightly popular, not very popular, but slightly popular, that that time the most commonly asked question was how to apply in Google. And that's a very simple random question that you could ask Google itself and get an answer on. And I had to finally make a post out of it, and that post also went like a slightly good, got good traction. But I'm saying that you, you are not even putting half of, or not even putting any effort in understanding what's possible with the technology and not using it to your benefit. Very simple things. So that's also a danger thing that I have observed in students. Not here I am saying, but
So, do you think there is any UI principle that is like over-taught or overused among students?
I think um, there are a lot of principles that I see. For example, in the name of minimalism, people actually hide a lot of things. For example, they keep just icons just because it's neat. But then there is affordance, right? You have to help people understand who is going to be the users of this. if you're if you're putting, let's say, one swimming pool icon, like let's say a floaty, and what do you expect the users to understand from it? If you are not explaining it's for support or it's for help, you don't you, or maybe somebody else would be thinking, oh, there is a game beneath it. So most of the things that you should be explaining, you are not. So the affordance would be lost. So when you design, you also need to make sure that you are actually designing it with every users in mind as much as possible, and try to make sure that it is decent enough to not fail the very basic affordance test. So, like, contrast ratio, just because, I know black and maybe on top of that slight gray, or very darker shade of black might be looking good. But on what grounds it is looking good? Maybe your user is sitting inside the room and maybe when they are looking at it, it is good. That's where you have been designing. You have been designing inside interior or inside indoor. What if the user is actually out there in the sun and they have to use it? When they look at it, they don't see anything. So similarly, there are lot of laws that people are breaking. I mean, they think that they cling on to it for unnecessary reason, and justify it logically also that Higgs law says this, Fitz's law says this, but all those things are actually there to understand what is the human pattern, human behavior that they were able to identify and put it as a theory. But in practicality, you need to be a better judge in terms of how you actually use it.
Okay. So now for the final question, is there is there any user habit you wish you could redesign?
Uh, for user habit, there are some, like, for example, uh, people when they are using, let's say, Google Pay, so they don't understand the system receiving a response or message back. So you keep on tapping the pay button again, not waiting for the system to respond back. So at times I think they were patient enough to understand what the system is trying to do. Maybe then you won't be paying twice and get into a refund and other, don't let the technology make look dumb there. So sometimes I wish users were slightly smart enough to understand what they are trying to do, or have the patience to understand what the system is trying to do, and you need to have some sort of patience. The other aspect is, I think, mostly, there are a lot of privacy terms and conditions that you ignore. That also, I think, nobody reads the terms and conditions and privacy policies. I know that, but I think there should be a at least, with the help of AI and stuff, you need to understand what you are actually signing up for. There are a lot of data breaches, lot of things that you are actually giving unnecessarily. Every third party or random application that you install, you need to figure out what is it that you are giving them back. If it is free, of course you need to ask this question. Then there is something else that definitely nothing is free in this world. So you need to ask this question. Then what is in it for them? Yeah, I mean, there are similarly, there are a lot of things that I would actually wish users were magical enough to understand it.
Thank you, sir, for the quick and very useful answers. Now I request Sri Vinod K, Assistant Professor, Department of Visual Media and Communication, to please come up to the stage to present a memento to Sri Advin Netto.
So, thank you for having me here, and I like the opportunity I got, and thank you Lakshmi and everyone else who coordinated to make this happen. And I think I've been asking someone who actually dropped me here today, how long you have been planning for this? What is how much effort and how many months of hard work you that we are seeing today. So I would like to, you all to enjoy the process while you are all tired, and maybe you have been going through sessions after sessions, and maybe there is a lot happening within the culturals as well. But these are the times which you won't get back. I would say that make the best out of it. Try to do as much as you can, and like any other creative mind, try to see if there is an opportunity for you to actually get in and showcase something, and this could also be listed in your profile. So I'll try to be as selfish as possible when you think in terms of how you want to contribute to communities as well. So yeah, with that note, I thank everyone.
So with that, we are concluding today's session. On behalf of Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham Kochi campus, I thank each and every guest of honor who are present here. Thank you.